Hello and welcome to Season 4 of the SoundStage Audiophile Podcast. For the past few years, host Jorden Guth has been learning about the who, the what, and the when of hi-fi from the pioneers who made our hobby what it is today, as well as the modern innovators who are constantly striving to push performance to new levels. That's not going to change, but this year he'll also be learning about the other two W's, where your favorite gear is made these days, and why. So with that out of the way, let's see who Jorden is chatting with this time around.
Hello and welcome to the SoundStage Audiophile Podcast. Today we have SoundStage founder Doug Schneider and is it senior editor Jason Thorpe?
It sure is.
It is.
Senior executive?
Senior editor. He runs the Ultra site.
There you go. So senior editor Jason Thorpe, the lead editor on the SoundStage Ultra site, and we're going to be talking about the Warsaw, Poland audio show and kind of getting into that. So welcome, guys.
Hey, Jorden.
Hey.
All right. So to kick this off, who wants to start? Who wants to set the stage for this year's show and kind of give us the intro to how it all started for you both?
I can, because I got some information last night. I also got sick at the show, and that's how you know it's a real show. I got a cold or flu or something, because a lot of people seem to forget when COVID came along that whenever we went to Las Vegas, you just came home sick as hell for 2-3 weeks. And I got sick in Warsaw from something at the show, and that means it's a real show because there were a lot of people there. Because last night I got from Adam, his last name is tough to pronounce. I hope I get it right. Moksitsky. It's a Polish name, Moksitsky. The numbers from the show. And so unique visitors, 14,881. And that's important because he means unique, and he even put in there that next time maybe we'll count people who come back. This isn't people who come, each day. This is unique people entering the show. Number of exhibitors, 230. And the number of rooms, 188. And he put, for reference, Munich has 140 rooms typically. So this was not just an all-time high for the Warsaw show, but it's the biggest in Europe. And then 71 press members, including Jason and me.
And Matt.
And Matt Bonaccio, who was with us. We can't forget Matt.
So you guys flew in a day early. You guys typically arrive kind of maybe on the Wednesday or the Thursday?
Yeah, on the Wednesday morning to acclimatize and do some other things. And you don't want to risk not getting there for the first day of the show, which is a Friday.
Yeah, I'm assuming Warsaw is easy enough to get to. It's not like one of those far off places that you have 10 or 12 connecting flights or something like that.
I had one connecting flight. Jason gets direct from Toronto on LOT Airlines, and he went with Matt. So,
that's amazing.
Toronto to Warsaw, direct.
Yeah, it makes life a lot easier.
I can imagine. Just jump in, wake up, and you're there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, was this different than any of the other shows? Like, do you guys have a feeling that this year in particular there's more emphasis because of kind of the gossip around Munich and what's going to happen when it switches to Vienna?
It doesn't feel like anybody's yet put sort of writing off Vienna. There does seem like there's a fair bit of worry about it, about how it's going to be, and the change from a much larger country, which is Germany, to a smaller country, which is Austria, and stuff like that. But it almost did feel like people are now starting to sort of pivot a little bit to sort of look at Warsaw and think maybe this is the future.
Yeah, because it is, you're right, it is a bit of a gamble going to Vienna. They had to do it. They had to move out of Munich because they lost the venue, but nobody knows how Vienna is going to do. It's kind of just wait and see. And at the beginning, I heard 50-50. Some people thought it was going to be bad. Some people thought it was going to be good. Now, a few more are thinking it's going to be bad. I hear people who think it's going to be good. We're not going to know until next June. Vienna High End will be held the first week of June, 2026.
And kind of going into that, a lot of products, or my understanding, I wasn't actually there, but a lot of products got announced at the Poland show.
Quite a few. I wouldn't say there were many big announcements, but there were quite a few. And probably the most significant was Diapason, which the Didascalia speaker, which kind of set the stage for a change of that company. And we created a video on it, right, Jorden? We were there a month ahead. And that was kind of one of the big announcements. There weren't many big company announcements, but there were a bunch of small companies doing wild things like the Stone speakers Jason liked.
It didn't feel like there were quite as many introductions of new product as there have been in the past. Why, I don't know, but it just felt a little bit slimmer in those type of announcements.
Yeah, I would say yes, but there were a lot more systems than in the past because there are 3 locations. There's the Radisson Sobieski Hotel location, which is also where we stay. Kitty Corner is the Golden Tulip Hotel, which we won't make a joke about, just the name of that hotel, but it has these big exhibits, which were again full. And then there's the Warsaw Stadium, and that is where a whole bunch of exhibits are. And they added half a floor. So they used to have 2 floors on one side of the stadium, then you went to the other and they had one floor which had headphones and some hi-fi systems and home theater systems. Well, they added an upper floor to that. They were able to get these gigantic rooms where they had these super hi-fi systems, like these hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars hi-fi systems up there. And that was quite an impressive expansion. So although there weren't new products at the show, like as many as maybe I was hoping, there were more systems at the show, and in those new rooms, which were quite spectacular, it really showed off. It felt like an expansion.
So this is kind of a curiosity that I have. A lot of people hold their products to release them at shows. Like Munich is kind of known that it kicks off a lot of the new product announcements. Is it that people, like, this is the wrong time of year for people to announce products, do you think? Or is it that people are still kind of maybe holding off until Munich, or they're just announcing stuff when it's ready and stuff just isn't ready in the way that other people might expect?
I think it's, as we know, the world's a mess right now. And it still is and has been for a couple of years. And there's a lot of turmoil in the hi-fi industry. I wouldn't be surprised to see some companies going out of business, whereas others are doing really well. There's just a lot of turmoil in the world and in the industry. And I think... Go ahead, Jason.
I also get the feeling a little bit, there's a little bit of eye rolling about the shows. I mean, it's people, all the same people have been doing the same shows for forever now. And it's just like becoming rote. Like you just show up, you do, when we, at the restaurant, the bar at the Sobieski, there's, it's on Saturday night, there's usually a lot of people all sort of gather. And you sort of, as you look around, it's like every year we're all getting older. And it's the same people sitting around doing the same thing in the same groups. And I get the feeling there's a bit of inertia there. So again, why not just announce your product? Like, why have to wait for to try and make it into something that isn't really going to be a thing? Because if you look at the release of our coverage of the new Diapason speaker, great, it's there. But if you go look at it for anywhere else, there's not really very much. There's just I found one AI generated article from these guys who also sit around in the bloody bar all night drinking. But other than that, I mean, what value is there in waiting for the show?
I think so too. I think shows have their place. Well, not all shows. And I put something on social media this week. I thought there were 5 shows over a 2-week span. There were 6. There was this one in Poland, which is a really good show and was this year, and we can't downplay that at all. But then a week ahead of that was the Tokyo International Audio Show, which is a good show too, and that's on the other side of the world, and that one's a good one. But the same weekend is the Toronto Audio Show, and I don't go to that. I went there once, and it sucks. And it's not even in Toronto. It's in Mississauga, Greater Toronto area. It's held out near the airport. No one wants to go to the airport, right, Jason? He defends Toronto a lot.
There's nothing there. There's not even sidewalk.
So that was the week before. And then the weekend of Audio Video Show, there was a show in Singapore, and there was a show in, get this, Paris.
Really?
Paris. And some exhibitors had to hop on planes to get to Paris so they could make both, which is just stupid. Have the Warsaw show. You want another show? Put it on a different weekend. We don't need all these shows. That's ridiculous. The Warsaw show is, whether it's first or second in Europe right now, it doesn't matter. It's one of the top 2. Just let's go with that.
I subscribe to this calendar that gives me updates on all the different shows that I guess get pushed into this database. And it's astounding how much is actually going on an ongoing basis.
Well, Here's what I think is happening with these shows. So there are real shows. I call them real shows. Warsaw's a real show. Munich is a real show. Tokyo is a real show. And then there's what I call the little dick-all shows, which are becoming the selling shows. And here's what I think is happening. You're getting these companies that don't have dealers. They don't have distributors. They're hoping for the best. And a number of them are selling products at these shows. It's like a storefront for them. And that to me is just downgrades the whole thing. And all these little shows where some regional shows might be of use is like, here, come buy my speakers because I don't have anywhere else to sell them.
Well, I mean, it is kind of bringing the customers directly to the company. But, or actually, here's another kind of question. The Warsaw show, primarily a business to consumer show. There's not as much business to business. There's not as much meetings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whereas Vienna or Munich, let's say, was kind of a mix of both. But I would say my understanding is that it was very much a B2B type show.
Yeah, it, like CES before that, is where kind of the world converged and said, okay, we know all the manufacturers are going to be there. We know the distributors are going to be there. We know dealers. We can do a lot of business here. So it became by default kind of the business show as well as a big consumer show. Now, there is more business being done in Warsaw just because it's growing each year and it's becoming more significant. So companies are coming there and that is turning into business kind of organically, but they're not forcing that way. It's still a heavy duty consumer show and there's no trade day. It's all consumer, all 3
That was
days.
something I was going to say is that Warsaw has has the Thursday where there's only trade. It's only business.
No,
There's
Warsaw, not Warsaw.
So,
You're
sorry,
talking
Munich. Munich.
Munich. Let's get clear. Not Warsaw. Munich, high end. And Vienna will have that.
Yes, that.
Okay, say that one more time, Jason. So Munich has the Thursday.
Yep, which is only for trade.
And I can't remember, is Friday only for trade too?
I don't think so.
Okay, I don't think so. I can't remember, but Thursday for sure.
I think it's the Thursday's the trade day. And that is sort of signifies that it is specifically designed for business, whereas Warsaw, Friday, Saturday, Sunday are all open to the public. So it's a bit more of an indicator of what the goal of the Munich show is, I guess.
Does this, like, for those trade days, I'm assuming that press, so like Doug, Jason, and Matt, you guys would get to go in those days. Would that be like a quieter day that you could actually see the products and experience them a little bit more?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. It's about half the amount of people. Maybe fewer, like a quarter of the amount of people. Yeah.
Unless people wandering in front of the speakers aimlessly.
Yes.
That's fair. So, I mean, that definitely makes sense, especially for the press, especially for people announcing products, to have something that's a little bit more controlled or a little bit more sparse in terms of people so that you actually can spend time with the products themselves.
Yeah, but let's face it, the show is not a great place to announce. We have the online trade show 365 days a year called the internet. We have YouTube, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, and the best way to announce a product is online and then display it at the show if you want. And that, to me, gets the word out ahead of the show, and then, hey, use the show to show the product.
Yeah, I was at the Diapason premiere, which was, I think that was that the Friday morning, I think, Doug?
Friday morning, yeah.
Bright and early. And
it was noon. Maybe that was bright and early for you, but it was like
it was pretty
noon.
bright and early, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just say bright and early. And I was sitting in the room with about 10 or 12 other journalists. Everybody sat down. The guy went up and talked for a bit, and then he pulled the cover off his speakers, and then everyone left.
Really?
Well, they just, they listened for a couple of minutes and then they went, yeah, okay. And now everyone's off. Okay, we got the speaker information. So it was, for the poor guy that did it, it felt somewhat anticlimactic. I don't think he'll do that again.
Well, hard to say. I think that was a real kind of successful display because it became the star of the show. And we launched our video the moment he pulled that off.
Yeah, I just don't think that I just don't think that there's a lot of value in doing the show release.
Yeah,
that way.
I agree. And companies keep doing it. Another thing, Diapason was really lucky in that the worst thing, and so many companies do it at Munich, was they'll say 10 o'clock is the Sunday. Hey, we're doing a product debut at 10 a.m. on the first day. Oh, great. There's only like 27 of you doing it. Who do you think's going to show up? You can't be like 27 rooms at once, and we just don't show up to any of them.
I mean, that does make a good point where it's like, as press or as anyone, like if you have to choose, where do you go? And if there's a company that isn't maybe as well known, or like you just don't have that personal connection with them yet, you might not be able to kind of commit yourself to viewing that when there's other companies that are also going to be announcing at the same time.
Yeah. So Yapson ended up being the star of the show. I wouldn't want 10 companies doing that because not everybody would have been seen. But nevertheless, I think the best thing to do is what Diapason did. We were there a month out with the first, production sample, filming it to launch it online. And that's where everybody saw it.
That's fair.
People saw it.
Jason, what other products got announced? I read a couple of your articles, so I already know this answer, but I'm fishing for you. So what other products got announced?
Well, EMM Labs had a whole bunch of new stuff. Well, not new versions of new products there. And for the first time they had their own room. So they had full control over the presentation, which was nice. It's always good to see Amadeus Meitner. He's a nice guy, fun guy. Could take a joke at his own expense. So it was nice to be able to see all of the stuff that they had there, especially the fact that it was all in sort of matte black. It sort of looked like real Death Star material. So
that's super cool.
That was cool. I discovered that a company called Reed Turntables.
Oh yeah.
Or Reed Audio. I think it's just Reed actually.
Reed, yeah.
Yeah, they're a turntable manufacturer, and they've done some pretty slinky stuff in the past.
Out of Lithuania.
Yeah. I've always been excited to see their stuff because it just looks cool, and it does things in a very slightly different ways. It uses idler wheels to drive the platter, which is kind of cool. It's like two little skateboard wheels in there that actually touch the platter and spin it.
Oh, no way.
Which is kind of neat. And they just announced that they're doing an optical cartridge, which is technology that was pioneered by DS Audio, and they're the only people that make the engine that drives an optical turntable cartridge, and they're licensing that technology from them and going to build their own. So I'm really hoping to get a sample of that in for review, because to me that's big news.
It's funny that you say EMM. They also do the optical cartridge they do the phono stage, the optical phono stage.
Yes, they do.
With the technology from DS, or there's some collaboration there, licensing or something going on.
Yeah, what happens is DS Audio has made the specifications for the optical phono stage. They've made that available, so sort of open source. So there's a number of different companies, about 6 different companies that actually make phono stages that will accommodate a DS Audio cartridge.
Gotcha.
But up to now, no other companies have actually manufactured the cartridge, because it has to use the engine that physically is made by DS Audio, which is a really complicated little doodad.
Gotcha.
And this is the first company that they have decided to cooperate with on this. I know there's some other companies that were talking about it, but it never sort of came to any sort of fruition.
And what's kind of interesting about, I saw something for a first at the show. To be clear about the optical cartridge, it's got a regular stylus and cantilever, and correct me where I get it wrong, Jason, if I do. And then, but instead of coils and stuff inside the cartridge, it uses magnetic coil. Yeah, it uses an optical sensor, and so it kind of shines light inside. Jason, how would you put it?
Correct. There's a bright LED inside that shines on a photoreceptor, and then as the stylus moves up and down, the cantilever moves, and there's a little sort of sail, like a shading plate that moves up and down in different ways, and it interferes with the optical sensor, changes the light that hits it, and it translates that into an audio signal.
And so when I was in there taking a picture close up as the thing was playing, it was like the worst record skip you heard, because the flash popping off actually, well, whatever it did to the sensor, you know what I mean, sent a signal through the system.
Yeah. What happened was, I think it bounced off the record and went up into the guts of the cartridge and got it all confused and made like some weird racket. Like,
because we all stopped for a second, like, what the hell just happened? Because it sounded like I skipped the record, but and then the guy goes from Reed says, "Oh, the light from the camera." You know?
No way.
Yeah.
So, what are the benefits of this optical cartridge? Because, like, I understand the idea that when I first heard of this, I thought the stylus was just not touching the record anymore, and so it saved the records. But no, the stylus is still involved.
Mhm.
The benefits of the optical cartridge are
Well, they're twofold. First off, if you think of a cantilever that's touching a record, attached to it is with a moving coil. You have a bunch of coils, which is a metal center wrapped in wire attached to that. And as that moves up and down, the magnets are suspended above it, and by the coils moving in proximity to the magnet, that creates an electrical signal.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, two things: the coils are heavy. Right. Whereas the on the optical cartridge, there's a thin little piece of beryllium that weighs about 1/10 of the weight. So it reacts faster to the movements. There's less inertia stopping it from moving around. So it's a quicker response. Plus, when you got magnets interacting with coils, you've got some magnet inertia too. Like it has trouble moving against the magnetic fields. So you don't have that either. But one of the biggest things, so what you get is a much more dynamic, snappy sound, crisper. It sounds closer to the signal than does the more romantic sound of a moving coil. But one of the bigger ones is because it's a voltage difference rather than a physical moving difference. I always get this a little bit wrong, but what happens is you get much less surface noise.
Oh,
because the surface noise does not get the surface rumble and noise and pops and snaps don't get translated into an audio signal as much with a optical cartridge.
Interesting.
And then there are two other things, and that is a moving magnet puts out higher voltage than a moving coil, but they still need a lot of what's called gain. You got to boost the signal a lot, and when a phono stage boosts the signal a lot, you get a lot of noise from the boost. Okay, so that's one thing. And with an optical cartridge, it uses biasing circuit, and you don't need nearly as much gain. And then from what I understand too, you got the EQ curve, the RIA EQ curve, and with a moving magnet, moving coil, you need much more aggressive equalization than you do with an optical cartridge. Correct, Jason?
Correct. I think the numbers are you got a moving coil cartridge puts out 0.5 millivolt of signal. Okay. Whereas an optical cartridge puts out 70 millivolts.
That's insane.
So it's
so you don't have to boost the signal near as much. You don't get as much noise from the phono stage and blah blah blah.
And it sounds radically different. I really like it. I like both. I like everything. I'm pretty easy.
Live and let live.
Except CDs. He likes everything except CDs.
I like digital. I don't like the physical CD. I hate the physical medium.
Hate.
I mean, that's pretty strong. I don't mind CDs, but I don't think I would ever buy a CD at this point. Records are fun.
Yeah.
Like having vinyl and getting to see that and like the artwork is actually visible. I don't know. CDs. I don't like the sound of the plastic of CDs.
Bingo.
Personally.
Opening that case and the it feels like it's always going to break when you pull it off the spindle, and it's got no
I feel like
mouth.
we've talked about this before because I remember being like, this is an annoying thing.
Yeah.
And I think it was you that it's like, this is my pet peeve. I'm like, I agree 100%. So aside from, and maybe I'll ask this, do you see optical cartridges becoming more prevalent in the future? Like, do you see this as like the infancy of the technology and that's going to be a push towards how people listen to vinyl in the future? Or is this kind of always going to be a niche thing?
Right now, it's still too expensive to become mass market. Way too expensive. I don't know the lowest price DS audio cartridge, but it's well over $1,000. That's what I think it is. And so that alone, I don't know. You can get a cartridge for less than $100 up to hundreds of dollars. And, you can get an outstanding moving coil cartridge for up to $1,000, which is a lot of money. So suddenly you're above $1,000. I don't think they're going to get critical mass until they get the prices of the cartridges lower, and then you need a specialized phono stage. So you have to have mass acceptance with other manufacturers. And right now, there are only a handful of manufacturers.
Yeah. So even if like a company like Project or Techniques or somebody starts including it in every single turntable or a huge section of turntables that they sell, it still requires additional technology, and the price point would just put it out of most people's.
And moving magnet, moving coil is just too embedded. So right now, and I think for the foreseeable future, and maybe forever, it'll remain a niche thing.
So what do you think, Jason? Is this going to be, from your point of view, do you think that this is going to have some mass adoption, or is this always going to kind of maintain that niche kind of market?
It's going to have to be a niche. There's no real way around it. Again, as Doug said, it's expensive. It's a hi-fi option. It's going to be up there sort of with headphone amplifiers and external DACs and stuff that's going to be sort of relegated to people like us. Unless they can bring it down, they might end up, DS Audio is the company that pioneered the optical mouse. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's right. They have some of the technology
with
behind
with Microsoft, from what we understand.
Yeah, exactly. And so I get the feeling they've got a heck of a lot of power behind them as a company, a lot of resources. So if they could make a much cheaper one, and along with a much cheaper phono stage, get it down around the $500 for everything, which I wouldn't be surprised if they do. Then I think that they stand a bigger chance. But another problem is moving coils and the higher end technology is relegated to people who have hair growing out of their ears. People who say chortle a lot and stuff like that. So there's not that many of us left. So I don't, unless they can really bring it down market, it will remain a niche.
Which is fine.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's totally cool. Yep. It's a wonderful technology. It's a wonderful. They've been working on going up market. I think they've got like a cartridge that's like $15,000 or something.
Whoa!
It's like made out of the cantilever and stylus are made out of pure diamond, and it's like one piece rather than gluing a diamond on the end of a piece of aluminum or something.
That's wild.
It is pretty cool. They're a neat company, but if they want to make a big mark for themselves, they need to bring it way down market.
So aside from the really cool optical stuff, optical cartridge, what other products were you guys most impressed by? And Jason, kick it off for us.
I saw a really cool speaker made out of poured concrete. Like with just like, it looked like, when you pour a sonotube, like to put a deck on,
casting.
You cast it.
Yeah.
It's got those little holes all over it from where it doesn't completely fill in. This looked just like that, and for some reason it just charmed me. It was. I found it very attractive in a brutalist sort of manner, and it sounded pretty darn good too. And so I thought that was really neat.
I mean, that's one way to reduce cabinet vibrations and stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's don't want to drop it on your foot.
Moving that would be a pain.
Actually,
not a floor stander. Was that like a bookshelf style?
No, it was a floor stand. It was a slim floor stander, but I kind of went over and kind of tipped it and moved it. It didn't feel as heavy as I thought it would be. I think it was like 70 pounds or something. I don't know how the guy does it. And
interesting.
The language barrier was a problem because the gentleman in the room spoke no English, and the person he got to interpret pretty much spoke no English. So it was a very difficult conversation.
Where was that company based out of?
Poland, very close to the
show itself.
The show, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Doug, what did you see?
No,
that
Jason's
was really
got to go with two more of these. Come on, Jason. Two more Polish companies. Come on, you were all over this. I'll give you a hint. Big tubes, big speaker.
Oh, those guys, yeah. Oh, my stars, yeah. It's
easy. Forgot about this.
I totally did, yeah. There's two companies that always show together. Their names are the speaker company is Pylon, as in pylon, and the other company is Fez Audio, which is a tube manufacturer. And we've seen them in the same spots in the same room for years and years and years. And because they've been improving and everything, but you kind of get blinkered by the fact that you've seen it before. But this year they really pulled out the stops. The Fez Audio guys make the most beautiful tube amp I've ever seen in my life. Physically, it's lovely. It's got like the tube cage is made out of slices of tempered glass, and you can see through the top. You can see the transformers, and they look just they're beautiful because the same company makes their own transformers. They're out in the back with shovels digging iron out of the ground to make their own transformers, like soup to nuts.
And you have to really see it. We got pictures of it in our SoundStage global coverage.
Yeah, but it almost doesn't do it justice. When you see them in real life, they are stunning. Although I wouldn't want to have to dust them. They look like a real dust magnet. But the other company, Pylon, also surprised us because we did a bit of a deeper dive into them this year. And they're a huge manufacturer. They make OEM cabinets for a number of different high-end manufacturers, which they asked us specifically not to, please try not to do that to them and us. Although I said a few names and they kind of looked at us and smiled.
We had always heard rumors of this Polish company making a lot of the company's cabinets for various, and I think Pylon.
Yeah, we
does
never,
a lot of that.
We never put the two together, and they make the speakers they had on display were quite very attractive, sort of slim and sort of
boat-like, curved cabinets vertically and horizontally, like really kind of complex woodworking.
Yeah. I'm looking at this article now. Those speakers, so the speakers look really cool, and it definitely has like a mast of a ship type vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And these electronics look wild with the basically lines, the symmetrical lines and all that. That looks gorgeous.
Yeah, each one of those lines is just over a 1/4-inch thick slice of tempered glass.
No way.
Yeah.
Now, does that have any practical aspect? Like, is that okay? It's not trying to dissipate heat or do anything fancy. It's literally for the visuals to tie it into the back.
I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah,
it's cool. That's what it is.
But it's cool. It's just physically beautiful. That's what it does.
I mean, and this kind of goes in. Is it your article? Now I'm mixing it up. But the idea that high-end audio needs to have something that is striking about it. It just can't sound good. It also has to look good.
When you're talking big bucks, absolutely.
Better look really good.
Yeah, you need something that is impressive so that, I mean, whether it's you can justify it to yourself or justify it to others, to be able to say like, yeah, it costs $100,000, but have you seen it?
It makes up for my tiny pecker.
Exactly.
Can I say that?
You just did. So yes, you can. All right, so we got those three products. Yeah. Was there a favorite of all those for you, Jason?
Physically, I that room, the Fez Audio and the Pylon Audio room, really took my breath away, just for visual appeal. For sound wise, the Electra Compagniette and room, who was premiering with Rockport speakers, was just mind-blowing how good it was. And also the Martin room, Marten, that's a Finnish, where are they from, Doug? Norway?
Sweden.
Sweden.
Martin.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those were two outstanding sounding rooms. But something I was meaning to mention before I forget about it is that what we didn't do this year, and I really think we need to focus on next year, is we need to find some bargain basement value systems that sound really good but don't cost a lot of money. I took my eye off the ball with that this year, and I didn't sort of search for bargains. I just let myself sort of be dragged around like a magpie, just looking at beautiful things. But I think for our readers, we do need to focus a little bit more on some value.
I mean, I'm sure Dennis Spur, senior editor of SoundStage Access, would like that.
Yeah, I was thinking of Dennis when that thought went through my mind. I just feel petty. Shallow.
You're too up there, uppity nose with your $100,000 plus speaker systems.
Yeah, sniffy gray poupon lot.
That's awesome. Doug, what stood out for you? What was
so Jason led into it right there. So over at the I don't like to crap on systems at shows, because setting up a good sounding system, people who go and evaluate the sound of systems at shows and either yay or nay are really missing the point, because they're in bad circumstances. The rooms are never optimal, blah, blah, blah. And so if something sounds bad, and there were a lot of bad sounding rooms, like a lot, I don't really want to point those out. But Jason did point out, and I don't think it was a coincidence, two of the best sounding rooms. So up in that new area I was talking about at the beginning, where they had these giant rooms, these rooms were too big for a typical hi-fi system, like quite a bit too big, but it's better too big than too small. So because you put a big system in a small room, it's just going to reverberate all to hell. You put a big system in a huge room, and you got the walls a distance away. So the system he pointed out, Martin, I walked in there and I went, geez, those speakers, they were driven by Boulder Electronics. I can't remember what else was in there. Oh yeah, it had a Watt-X DAC or player or something like that. So Watt-X up front, Boulder amplification, and these Martin speakers. It sounded pretty good. Like, I won't say it was mind-blowing, but it was like, oh, these sound really good. But then down the hall in an equally sized room, Electric Company, which you mentioned, with the Rockport speakers, and they had transparent cables. Now, what was nice about this was Electric Company makes expensive gear, but not stupidly expensive. I can't remember what the amps cost, but we're talking products in the tens of thousands of dollars, not hundreds of thousands of dollars. And this was just really good electronics and well-designed speakers. Now, the Rockports aren't cheap. They're about $200,000. And they're a good, solid design, and the combination just sounded outstanding, even in a room that was too big for it. Big bass, really clear mid-range, really, like, you sit down and go, wow, this system really sounds good. And part of that also has to do with Electric Company at sales and marketing guy Lassie Danielson, who isn't scared to play good music. This is a bit of a problem Jason and I joke about in Warsaw. There's some dreadful music. Well, taste maybe is country specific, but I'm not going to sit there and listening to a church choir for 2 hours, right? You'll hear some wonky, weird things, but Lassie Danielson will play what you want. He's a drummer himself. Well, I wouldn't say he'll play anything you want. He'll play within reason, but he'll play a lot of good music. And this system was just, wow, a real standout. And then one that I didn't write about, and I wrote an article that was the best sound of the show, and I thought it was, from what I visited. And I said, if you don't see another article from me, consider that the best sound of the show. And there wasn't another article. But the second most impressive sounding room was the Dutch & Dutch 6C to me. Dutch & Dutch makes an active speaker. The 6C is brand new. They had them really on tall stands, which I thought was a good idea because you're firing them over people's heads so those standing can hear them. And those small to medium-sized speakers could really put out a high-quality sound. I was in there for about 10 tracks, and that speaker, when it hits the market, and it should be any time now, is a killer active speaker.
Now, that's a speaker they didn't actually announce at the show, but is this the first show that it's on display at, or was there another show before it?
No, they did it at a Dutch event too. They're kind of like, we'll call it a soft launch. They're having a little bit of a time getting production out regularly, so I don't think they're shipping actually store samples yet.
Doug, yeah. I didn't catch that was a new speaker.
Yeah, that's the 6C. That's the 6C. That's brand new. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's interesting.
Brand new this year. Yeah. So the 8C was the only product that company had, and this is a smaller version, effectively, the 6C. Yeah.
It's really nice. Like, we were there. My brain in terms of our trips this year is scrambled, but we were there a few months ago. Maybe, was that the summer one?
That was April. No, that was April.
Okay. So we were there in April, and getting to see that speaker, because like the 8C is gorgeous. It's so nice, and it's just a fantastic speaker, but it is quite large. Like, it's like a studio monitor size box.
Big thing, yeah.
The 6C is like, that can go in a living room very easily.
Oh, yeah. It's good moderate size. It's nicely styled. They got it, I think, in 10 different colors, I think, when it finally gets fully released. But that was impressive. And, those Stone speakers that Jason listened to, I wouldn't say they blew me away, but I go to what I call good inherent design. You see all these companies touting materials, and obviously concrete is a material, but good design. It's well known in speakers. You can make a good sounding speaker. Rockport makes a well-designed speaker. Dutch & Dutch makes a really well-designed speaker. The Stone guy, it's well-designed.
You can tell immediately when you walk in the room. It's almost like there's a switch. Like, yep, this is right, or no, it's not.
Yeah, and the formula is all there, and I want to credit Floyd Tool in Canada. The formula has been there since 70s or 80s. Here's how to make a good sounding speaker. Not a DIY thing, but here's what it needs to perform like. And I wouldn't say, it's definitely not rocket science. But it takes some work, it takes some knowledge, it takes this and that, but the formula is there.
Love it. Now, switching gears, because
I should mention one more thing.
Yeah.
I would love to get that diapason speaker to my house. I heard it in Italy. I thought it sounded good in Warsaw, but again, you got people milling around the room and stuff in show conditions. I think it looks really cool.
It is a very cool speaker.
And wood one, the finished wood one, we didn't see that when we were in Italy. The finished wood one, I like it better than the black one by far. It really looks sharp. Yeah,
I saw your photos that you sent me of the black and white one, the little penguin.
Silver. That's not white. Silver.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know about that. But when you see it in wood, because it's made out of like solid chunks of actual walnut, right? When you see it in wood with the matte front and the leather, that's a classy looking unit.
Yeah. Seeing them build that was absolutely impressive. Like they took us to this wood shop in the mountains of Italy. It was so cool. And like the people they're actually manufacturing it, these guys know like everything about wood making and all of that. And you see their shop and like the tools and what they're doing. They're making like long masts and sails for wind turbines and stuff as well. Like very, very cool, very artisanal stuff that's coming out of that factory. So yeah, gorgeous speakers. Switching gears, because we are kind of coming up to our time. What do you think the show, let's say Warsaw specifically, can do to improve? Like, we see all this cool stuff. We have they already have a winning formula, but what is that next 5% or less gains that they can actually make next year or years coming?
Interesting you should bring that up, because I ran into Adam on midnight the last day of the show and we talked about that. And he's going to expand it a little further. He's going to have, I think, 8 more of those giant rooms up at the stadium. So I think they have 6 giant rooms. I think they're going to have 8 more next year. And I think he and I talked about little things he could do to improve. He's always looking to improve the quality. He has giant dinner for the press. He makes sure everybody's well taken care of at the hotel. He makes sure all those things are just right. I think what's going to grow the show that extra 5% is the recognition that this is an outstanding show, and just more companies will come. And he helps those companies come. He keeps it affordable. He many people like Jason said that EMM Labs had their own room. It's much more affordable than Munich, and I understand Vienna's ultra expensive, and it's much more affordable than those shows. And I think recognition.
I've getting a little bit sort of a sort of a sour older vibe about the Golden Tulip. You got to go over to this other venue, and there's 5 rooms.
Should they go to the Royal Tulip, because they have a Royal Tulip too?
Yeah, the other tulip,
the Rusty Tulip.
Yeah, that one. I think if they could it might help if they got it down to 2 venues. Just if they're going to already open up the stadium further, move them out of that hotel, that other hotel, the Golden Tulip, over to the stadium and make it all a one-stop shopping thing.
Yeah, and the thing with the Golden Tulip, it's a smaller venue, but they have several large rooms that the Sobieski location doesn't have.
Yep.
And that's why they go to the Tulip.
Yep.
And if suddenly they have more of these giant size rooms, which are better than the Tulips, I think, at the stadium, those companies will simply go to the stadium and we'll see it in 2 locations.
It feels more, it feels like the Golden Tulip drags it down a little bit in quality. I mean, I understand why they need it, because they need the room, but if they can get rid of that and expand somewhere else in the stadium, I think that would help it streamline it and make it seem a bit more modern.
And the thing is that a lot of people don't know about this show. Unlike many shows that are struggling to sell rooms, Adam has had that show sold out for years. So he struggles to get new rooms because he just can't expand easily. But the stadium being able to suddenly expand into a new area opened up some doors.
That's really cool. Now, final question. You guys have both been on this a fair bit. So instead of our typical way of asking this, let's just say, what are you guys listening to right now? What album, what song, what genre? What do you got for us? Jason, hit me up.
I'm falling back into my Rush mode.
Ooh.
Rush has just announced that they're coming out on they're going to tour again, this time with a new drummer. Because I don't know if you're aware, but Neil Peart, their drummer, died about a decade ago, I think it was. The same brain cancer that took Gord Downey of the Tragically Hip. and they have been down for a long time, and they're going to tour again with this young girl who is a sort of a young prodigy, and I've watched some of her videos. She's fantastic. They got sort of permission from Neil Peart's, the drummer's family, that it was okay to go on the road and do this again. To me, that's a big deal. So I've been listening to Permanent Waves by Rush and Moving Pictures by Rush. Those two albums mostly, and that's where that's the rut that I've fallen into.
So I'm guessing that they're going to be traveling through Canada, but are they exclusively traveling through Canada, or is it going to be like a
huge tour?
Huge tour, like international type stuff.
Yep.
No way. Oh, that's going to be exciting.
And they're in their 70s, right? But they've the thing was when Neil, he retired. He's a very intellectual guy. Was a very intellectual guy, and he retired, and they stopped touring because he retired. But the guitarist and bassist didn't want to retire. But they said they wanted to still. But they said, how can we not, honor his wishes? And what he ended up doing was going to his becoming the school librarian at his daughter's school.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So now they've sort of enough time has passed, and they've got permission from the drummer's family that it's okay to do so. They're doing it again.
Amazing. All right. So Rush is going to go on to my Spotify lossless playlist. What do we got, Doug? What do you want to throw out
I've
there?
been listening to brand new unreleased recordings because SoundStage, and we'll have to have a podcast about this, is going to have some recordings. We're licensing recordings done by some artists who were created by Mark Howard. Now, Mark Howard has created some of the best music on the planet for Daniel Lanois through the 90s and on his own. He recorded Willie Nelson's Teatro. He was the sound behind Bob Dylan's Time Out of Mind, which Bob Dylan thanked him on stage for creating that sound, and Oh Mercy. He produced Lucinda Williams, World Without Tears, and a whole bunch of stuff. And he has these projects that he recorded with musicians who are really good and completely unknown. And he does this to give back to the music industry, a way to help these musicians, but they had nowhere to be released. And so we've got our hands on a couple of these recordings. One is by a Hamilton artist, Martin Farrell. It's called Care of the Brain. And it's at the pressing plant right now to be put onto vinyl. Very high quality presentation. And we're looking at another one by a Australian musician. She now lives in Los Angeles, and we haven't quite firmed up, but we're likely to do that, and he's got more. So I've been digging deep into those recordings and learning a lot. And like I said, we'll have a podcast about that, maybe with Mark, because he's got some fascinating stories, because he even has a documentary he has coming about all the people he recorded, and a book about recording icons, because Willie Nelson, Bob Dylan, Iggy Pop, Tom Waits, Lucinda Williams, Neville Brothers, Lanois himself, he was the recording behind those solo albums.
I love it. Yeah, I've gotten to hear a couple of these on our trip, and I'm excited to see the entire album. It'd be really cool, and I don't know, there's probably some legality and other hoops and loops, and getting the record out to start is going to be one thing, but it'd be neat to get it on streaming services, the album as a whole. So
yeah, the problem with streaming services, and I'm seeing this, we're not going to do it. So you put it on a Spotify, everybody wrote things and plays it for basically free, at least for now. And it might be controversial, but we're going to do a really high quality vinyl pressing. Because this is the thing, and if you want to hear it, and then there'll be a limited number of the songs put out to play at shows and stuff like this. And then in the future, maybe we look for the streaming. But initially, on vinyl, promote it.
I love it. I'm excited for that. Thank you, gentlemen. Really appreciate it, and take care and all the best.
Thank you, Jorden.
Thanks for the time, Jorden.